Welcome back, everyone. It's time for episode 38 of the Horns Up Podcast, your weekly catch-up on all things metal. I am your host, Dan Kaplan, coming to you as always from New York. With me from Portsmouth, New Hampshire, far, far beyond the island, he dwells in shades of twilight. It's Corey Butterworth! Corey, how's it going?
There is. It's going wonderfully. There aren't many islands around here, though. So far, far beyond the island makes sense.
Can you tell I'm just a little bit excited about Blind Guardian, just a tad?
Yeah. It's a wonderful thing. We'll talk about it as well as other stuff. But new Blind Guardian came out this week.
Yeah,
Dan. New Blind Guardian came out this week.
We were still in college the last time a new Blind Guardian album happened.
I know.
It was senior year, which God, I feel old now. But yeah, man, it's a good week. Any week we get some new stuff from Hansi and Co. I'm gonna be excited. So. Other than that, what's been going on up your way? How's the snow? How's the marathon training? What's been keeping you busy?
Well, the snow has been fucking stupid, and as a result, the training has also been fucking stupid. Because the thing about getting multiple feet of snow per week
kind of gets in your way of running, right?
It really does, unless I feel like getting hit by cars that are sliding around all over the place, which I don't. Yeah, it's a hindrance.
Well, you know what you should do is you should run 10, 12 miles in the snow every day, and then by the time April rolls around and the weather's better, like 10, 12 miles or 26 miles, I guess, on dry land will seem easy.
It's sadly not a bad proposition, and I intend to try that very thing this weekend. It's just, I don't know, it's just the whole nighttime thing. When the roads are already half the width they normally are and cars have no control over snowy roads, it's a kind of a touchy situation. I've got things to live for, like Horns Up, and that's pretty much it. But it's still a thing.
Oh, man. Yeah, I don't know what it is about the snow down here. I've been trying to figure this out. What is it, for any listeners out there that might be in New York City, what is it about a snowy day that brings people's idiocy on public transportation through the goddamn roof? I can't figure this out. It's like there's white on the ground. Oh, I better turn my brain off. Like people are already disrespectful little shits on the subway and on the buses and you name it. But it's just amplified to completely different levels when there's snow on the ground. I can't figure it out. It's
No, I'm right there with you. And I know I usually, and every time, people have visited, the Portsmouth area, the New England area, or just talking about it in general, I've never really had a ton of bad to say about the MBTA, the Massachusetts, public transportation system, because it's always done me pretty well. But, dude, it's been a shit show here lately. It's been so bad. I'm not going to Boston simply because of the extreme delays that the subways are experiencing. These things, 40% of the trains just broke during the last two snowstorms. Just done. Gone. 40% of the trains. Yeah. 40%. That's insane. It's just a disaster down there.
Oh, I believe it. Yeah, we had our 7 train here in the city, which mainly runs it's Manhattan to Queens.
Sure.
One of the was it earlier this week? It was Monday, maybe. The train just stopped. There was a train. There was a 7 train that just stopped in the middle of its route, could not go anywhere. I don't know if there was track damage or what, but people were in this crowded ass subway car for like 2.5 hours. I mean, so you get that stuff. You get where there's actually like mechanical failures and stuff. I was more talking about initially. I was just talking about like people seem to become even more self-absorbed, even more asshole-ish. I can't deal with it. I'm like, I have called people fuck faces like to their face this week a number of multiple different times. So
yeah, I had to do the same last Thursday down in Boston. I was on the subway for 3 or 4 stops, and I'm standing right by the door. And of course, people are trying to, there's an inch of space. I can fit a 300-pound obese person there. Let me go for it. And we get to my stop, and this large obese person just looks at me as I'm trying to get off the train. Just looks at me. I'm like, excuse me. Just look at me. I'm like, and eventually I was listening to something aggressive enough, apparently. And I just said, hey, asshole, get the fuck out of my way. I need to get off the goddamn train. And, he gave me a look like, oh, how rude. And I shoved a fat person.
Did you elbow him?
I'm a terrible human.
Did you elbow him? Actually, you probably should. You probably shouldn't have done, because like I get if this is the kind of obese person I'm thinking of, I feel like you elbow him his tummy, and then your elbow will
lose your elbow,
bounce right out and hit you in the face. So
no, I pushed him off the train.
Oh,
I was
nice.
like, you need to get off the train so that people can also get off the train, and then you can get back on. So I just casually just guided this individual off the it was I was mad. I was very, very upset that day.
I always hate those
but,
people.
you know,
just standing in the doorway as if like the world is, their oyster. Like, fuck you.
yeah, because nobody needs to get on or off trains. Why the fuck would people take them? Yeah, anyway. So, weather, trains, people, it all just fucking comes to a terrible perfect storm in the middle of December, January, February
now.
March. Yeah. Well, I'm implying all the winter months.
Oh, yeah. Fair enough.
So, it's a disaster.
I feel you.
Fuck it.
I feel you. Well, I don't have too much more to say about that, largely because I don't want to blow a gasket on the podcast. Right. But let's move into our headlines this week.
Before.
Let's get this thing started. We want to kick off with a bit of sad news, unfortunately. Last Friday, Metal Maniacs founder Katherine Ludwig passed away. She had been battling non-Hodgkin's lymphoma for some time, had a crowdfunding site set up in her name to aid with that battle before finally succumbing Friday morning. Now, Metal Maniacs was a really influential magazine, ran from 1989 to 2009, and it was really huge in giving extreme metal a voice in a mainstream style publication. I mean, you had other stuff. There's stuff out there like there was Metal Edge for the long time and Revolver and stuff like that. But Metal Maniacs was more focused on the extreme side, on thrash bands, on black metal bands, you name it. Really giving a lot of bands that we're into their first and earliest exposure when they were first starting out. So I don't know. Did you ever read Metal Maniacs? For me, it was a little bit before I was even conscious of this stuff of real metal, at least.
Real metal, getting all elitist on us.
Well, no, I mean, I'm just talking about, like when it was in its heyday, I was listening to like Korn and precisely the kind of shit that wouldn't be covered in Metal Maniacs,
and things we shit on these days. Yeah, no, I understand. Honestly, it wasn't something I ever really read too much on, which, I kind of wish I had, knowing what I listen to now. I know some of the bands, it's funny you mention, the history and the bands they've covered. I think of, in Agalloch, Jason Walton, the bassist. Mm-hmm. Like some of his early correspondence and just involvement in the metal community was writing letters to Katherine, and she would sometimes publish some of the excerpts from that and put them on, for all to see. And he was recently requesting some of them get like found and sent back to him because those are memories, obviously, and all that nonsense. So it wasn't something I read back in its heyday. I would like to go back at some point and check out some of the archives because, again, like I said, knowing what I listen to now, a lot of it's
it would have been right up our alley.
Kind of think Metal Maniac. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So no, I didn't either, and I would like to go back and do so though.
Yeah, it's clear. Like I was late in the game, like I said, but it's clear she really played a huge role. I mean, we've seen tributes pouring in from everyone from, Reed Mullen from Corrosion of Conformity to Dan Lilker from Nuclear Assault to, the guys in Broken Hope. I mean, you name it. She touched a lot of people with her work, and not just with her coverage of metal, but from what I've been reading, she also dared to promote a lot of different social issues, whether it was veganism or feminism and all kinds of stuff in that coverage, which really, really revolutionary for the scene at the time. And, on top of all this, I mean, she just went far too young. I don't know exactly how old she was. No, I haven't really seen anyone disclose it, but I came across an article in the Chicago Tribune that said she was 30 in 1991. So like we're talking early 50s here, early mid, maybe, far too young to go. Yeah, I mean, I'll sum it up, rest in peace, Katherine Ludwig. It's a very, very sad loss, and, family is all in our thoughts. So, moving on, we have some news from Guitar Center, who, I don't know, Corey, you think they might be in trouble financially just a little bit?
Holy hell, dude. I remember reading this article, and I read this article, and it was just a head and hands kind of, oh boy, situation. Yeah. Please enlighten us.
I will. So leaked emails earlier this week from a new-ish CEO, Daryl Webb of Guitar Center, with news that the company has fired 40-something corporate level employees from its Westlake Village, California headquarters. Now, Guitar Center has been dealing with a wide range of financial troubles for some time. I mean, they were a private equity acquisition from Bain Capital, so that should say it all. The email says that no layoffs. Darrell Webb said in his email that no layoffs will be occurring at store level. But I mean, you got to wonder where they're going from here in the big picture. They're already being investigated by the SEC for cash flow misreporting. They've had a ton of turnover even before this at the executive level. Just doesn't really seem like a good place to be, does it?
No, it's it's not. And I originally saw this in 40 folks laid off. It's like, oh, that shit happens. Corporate level though,
it's a lot of that's a lot of suits to let go.
That's a lot of suits to let go. That's a terrifying amount of suits to let go, especially in an industry that's not the largest anyway, largest market I should say anyway.
Well,
I've got a lot of friends,
and that's the thing. Like, it's not the largest market, but they're clearly one of, if not the largest players in that market.
Right, and that's a valid point. It makes it even just highlights significance even more. And I've got a lot of friends that work for Guitar Center. They love it there. It's they treat them well. Everything it's a great place. It's just it reminds me. I mean, we've seen a lot of stores and companies come and go, especially on the retail side, over the last several years, just due to obviously all the other ways we can access the shit we need. But in Portsmouth and I guess Greater Boston in general, there was a store called Daddy's Junkie Music, which was very similar to Guitar Center. New and used instruments, everything, just across the board, exact same kind of setup. They went under, and in its place came Guitar Center, who opened a smaller store in the same area. And I don't know, it would just suck to see something like that kind of go in that same trend. But I don't know, it's tough. It's tough. I mean, it sounds like there's not a whole lot of good going on from the management side either, though.
No,
you know what I mean, from the corporate level.
Yeah. There's like I said, lots of turnover. There are former corporate employees kind of bad mouthing it in public. It's not a good situation. It's weird though, I shop at Guitar Center every now and again, mainly because of the convenience factor. There are I don't know how many different ones here in the city.
Right.
But I can't really say I harbor any significant feelings for it. It's I think of all those big chain bookstores that shuttered, whether it's like Borders or Crown back when that was a thing. Barnes and Noble is struggling. They're probably gonna go the way of the buffalo pretty soon. But all these big, huge chains just tried to be all things to all people with their business, and look what happened. They lost a unique niche feel, and they went under. And it's it's weird not having them, but I can't really say I miss them in anything other than a nostalgic fashion. Whereas I look at something like the Strand, another bookstore, which is like a New York City specific thing. There's only one of them. It's a huge, unique, very different kind of place. If that were to go under, I'd miss it terribly. Guitar Center is the same way. If it goes under, I'm not going to lose any sleep. It'll certainly be upsetting for all the people at the store level who might lose jobs. But I personally won't be as devastated as I would if something like, in my hometown, we have Fred's Music Center. If that were to close, Guitar Center doesn't really have a community feel because it's become such a behemoth. Whereas the smaller mom and pop places really stick with you a lot more. So
exactly, and that's what it is. It's kind of funny how sometimes taking a step back as a business, and the most successful ones, especially in those urban areas, Boston, New York City, hell, even Portsmouth, those niche stores, those very, I don't want to say mom and pop, but they have more personality to them. They're more part of the community. I think of Bull Moose, for example. If that ever went under and all the people I've made friends with at that store talking about music and all that stuff, that would actually hit me severely.
Yeah. What the hell would you do?
I would probably kill myself. I mean, that is where I spend most of my hangovers. Stuff like that. But at the same time, those are the places that stick around.
Yeah.
Because
they offer something
area
different
for decades. Exactly. But it's, I don't know. It's It's tough because it's one thing for us to talk about this when we can go to stores, and you more than me, obviously, just walk a couple blocks, get what you need, walk home. It's another thing we have to get in your car, drive, or take a long train or whatever. Sometimes just easier just to hop online, pay for shipping, get it ordered, and that's a big factor too. You pop up these stores in suburbia. Sometimes they don't do well when the internet becomes easier and easier.
Yeah. Well, we shall see what happens there. Again, Guitar Center, things are looking pretty grim. Not frostbitten, but certainly grim. So
no, they were frostbitten to be in great shape.
Yeah. That'll do it for headlines this week. Let's move into some concert reviews. I have a show I want to talk about.
Yay.
I know, first time in a while. It's not really metal per se, but was a hell of a fun show. I went to see Savages last week at St. Vitus.
Nice.
Have you heard Savages at all? Are you familiar with them?
I'm not, so
I will
take it away.
Indulge then. Savages is a post-punk revival kind of band from the UK. They do like kind of a very dark, mysterious kind of sonic exploration-y type thing, but at the same time with a very corrosive, gritty feel to it. They came through Vitus last week. I went with Kevin Brown, who's been on the pod before, and our friend Wyatt Marshall from over at Invisible Oranges. Shout out to Wyatt. He was there as well. This place was jammed, and Savages really, really did not disappoint. So their debut album came out a couple years ago now. It's called Silence Yourself. They played a little bit from that. They played a handful of songs, but it was mostly a new song night. I don't know all the names of these new songs. I really can't establish how they sounded live versus studio because I haven't heard them studio yet. But I will say in a live setting, this band really brought it. Tons of energy. The singer, Jenny Beth, is just a real firecracker up on stage. Really, lots of energy, really good interaction with the audience. I should add, it's an all-female band, which I say this not because I think that's a big deal. Really, it's a rock band. That's what I care about. Do they make good music? And yeah, they fucking do. But I bring this up because there was, of course, with an all-female band in the crowd, there was, of course, that one asshole who kept yelling out, sexy, and blah, 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 blah. And I was really impressed with the crowd at Vitus. If anyone is listening to this that was there, I was really impressed with the crowd for shutting this motherfucker down. And really, there was a girl that turned around and was just like, what the fuck are you doing? Shut up. And I was just like, I did my Wayne's World. I did my bow, my we're not worthy bow. And the vocalist Jenny called him out from the stage as well. Like it was bullshit. I mean, there's no place for it. But yeah, man, I mean, they kicked ass. I can't say much more than that. They played for a little more than an hour. Of course, it was Vitus, so the showtime was a little bit late. We didn't get out of there until 12:30. I didn't get home until 2:15, but whatever. Right. It was a weekend night. I'm not going to complain too much. So yeah, if you're at all interested in checking this out, one of the songs that is available that I recommend from the first album, they played a song called No Face. Give that one a listen. You might like it. It's some cool dark energy to it. But
excellent. I can definitely do that.
Yeah. Savages, St. Vitus. I'm going to be going back there this Friday or tonight if for y'all listening to it. I'm going to be there for I Hate God and Mortals and a bunch of other bands. It's going to be fun. So, especially...
I was going to say, I will actually, for the first time in a few weeks, have something to talk about next week as well, as I plan on heading down to the Palladium, which I don't necessarily enjoy saying anymore. Get a little Napalm Death action on Saturday night.
I'm fucking jealous.
It's a Saturday night too. I'm so excited.
They came through here on a Monday.
Of course they did.
And there were 5 bands on that tour. It's not like it's just Napalm Death and Voivod. It's like Black Crown Initiate is opening. And that gig was starting at 8:00. I was like, there's no way I would be getting out of here on a Monday night. There's no way I would be getting out of here before 1 a.m. And I was just like, right. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. Wyatt and I were talking about it, but I couldn't pull through it. But luckily, I'll get my Napalm Death fix at MDF. So
that is true, actually.
Yeah,
you're right.
Well, I look forward to hearing about that. I'm sure the listeners at home do too. For now, let's move into some new releases. We've got 3 we're going to talk about this week. I will start us off. I want to talk about because I am just going to. I wrote easily the most negative review I've written on the blog the following album, and I just want to talk about it a little bit. I listened to Black Sheep Wall's new album, I'm Going to Kill Myself.
I hope they do.
Yeah, it's actually the perfect name for an album because it's exactly what I was thinking while listening to it. I mean, this album was just didn't really do much right. There was
It's not good.
Black Sheep Wall, for those who aren't familiar, they're from California. They're kind of a sludge, kind of a hardcore, post-hardcore type influenced band. This is their 3rd album now, and what's interesting is the first 2 were actually quite good. They had different vocalists on both of them, but they were both on. In either case, both vocalists were vocalists that were very suited to the doom metal genre. They had these like kind of gruff roars in their voice. You could mix the vocal performance and the music performance, and it kind of was cohesive. It worked together. This time out, we've got, I guess, the band's former / maybe still current bass player, a guy named Brendan Gillick-Bauer, doing the vocals. And this dude sounds like they pulled him right out of a screamo band, and it just doesn't work at all. It's so jarring. His voice is so different from the underlying like musical backdrop that they create that it just becomes unlistenable. Like and especially so when he's howling away like a sissy for 9 minutes is the shortest song. 9.5 minutes long is the shortest. The longest, 33. So 33 minutes. There's a 33-minute long song on this album. Like, in what universe is that a good idea?
unless the first 4 letters of your band are PINK, you are not allowed to have 30+ minute long songs. It is not allowed. Go fuck yourselves.
And the last 5 letters of your name better be FLOYD. So.
Right. Well, I'll think of one exception. Green Carnation. Yeah. Their 1 hour long album is fine, but that was an album. That was like they're like, this is gonna be our entire album.
Fair
That's
enough.
One thing.
And when Green Carnation does an hour long song, with Light of Day, Day of Darkness, they explored a whole bunch of different themes. This 33-minute song, it's called Metallica for some reason. It sounds nothing like Metallica. It's called Metallica. They play at one point, and I timed this, they play the same riff over and over again for 12 minutes. What are you thinking, guys? In what universe was that a good idea? Don't do it again.
Don't do it again. It's like a bad dog. You hit on the nose with a newspaper. Bad.
You go to your room and you think about what you did, Black Sheep Wall.
Oh, God damn it. See, now I just want to go back and listen to Light of Day, Day of Darkness, and I hate everything because I can't.
I will listen to that. I'll listen to, like, 2 cats fucking. I don't care. I will listen to anything.
Cat sex.
Anything so that I don't have to listen to I'm Going to Kill Myself again. I cannot recommend this album. I cannot recommend this album at all. In fact, I cannot not recommend it enough. So,
emphasis.
Yeah. Black Sheep Wall, it's on Spotify, but really, like, think long and hard about whether you want to listen to it. I am not going to encourage you to do so. In less frustrating, I'm gonna catch my breath. In less frustrating listens, you listened to the new album from Volon, did you not?
Yeah, I did.
Akabal.
In the week.
Tell us about that. I want to hear more about it.
It was interesting. Now, this is a black metal project out of California. I say project because it's one guy. It's Eduardo Ramirez.
Right.
He writes a lot of his lyrical content, a lot of his the themes behind his music is about like native occult theology. Fucking cool. And we all know how black metal works. You get your tremolo picks, you get your blast beats, and unless you do something to kind of flare things up a bit, it can get a little tiresome. And this album, fortunately enough for me, having no knowledge whatsoever of what Volon is, it does. It pushes the limits a little bit. A little bit of experimentation in there. You get a lot of that. He goes for this more, almost Native American personality behind the music. It brings a lot of like wind instruments, flutes, and whatnot, which really makes it for some cool sections. I mean, yeah, you still get your tremolo picking, backbone, you still get your blast beats all over the place, but he does mix it up, and it is cool.
It sounds like kind of a different version of what we heard last year with Panopticon, right?
Right, and I did tie them in my review today. I did make some, not really comparisons because that's not really fair, but I did liken the way he treated his song structure to the way Sayar did with, a little bit of a Celtic feel, and the way Panopticon did with their bluegrass. Same kind of idea. I mean,
I thought you said
bluesgrass.
I thought you said I didn't even hear bluesgrass. I thought you said blues crap. I was like,
well, that wouldn't be fair because I liked it.
Austin Lund just became a bluesman, sold his soul to the devil. Now all I'm thinking about is Blues Clock from Metalocalypse.
Oh. God, I need to go back and watch like all those.
Yes.
Anywho, so that was kind of nice. The production sucked. I'll be honest. He used a lot of kind of like bluesy riffage, which was just way too pronounced over everything else. So it made the sound a little bit cluttered. Definitely a lot of kinks to work out. But overall, I was impressed with just the willingness to experiment and just kind of create his own little niche in the black metal world because, again, it can be watered down and it can be frustrating because I get really excited about new black metal. I really do. And I'll get more into this a little bit later. Right? Who would have heard of such a thing? I mean, I was hoping to listen to New Dödsfeld today, but fucking that didn't happen. Still bullshit about it, but I got a nice little Damn Empire
substitute coming up.
Yeah, it was a good little substitute that I'm going to be completely gushing over on Friday. Everybody can read that. And
Demon Empire. Corey is going to be reviewing their new album. What's it called?
It's self-titled.
He's going to be reviewing their new album, Demon Empire.
Demon Empire by Demon Empire.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's also very, very good. So yeah, when this posts on Friday, you can also read about that on Friday and also gush over it like I did. But anyway, Volon, cool stuff, on the right track. Love the experimentation. Love the way he's trying to create his own little, spot in the black metal world. Definitely just has some kinks to work out, but I'm optimistic. It's going to be something I pay attention to going forward for sure. Did you by chance actually listen to this? Because I did mention it to you briefly on Monday, I think.
I have not had a chance to listen to it yet. It's on my list. I have the Crepúsculo Negro, his record label, Bandcamp site, bookmarked. So it's something I'm going to do later this week at some point. But
nice.
Yeah, it's on my list. Volon, again, the album is Akabal. Or I don't know. Are you supposed to say that like really fast, like Akabal? I don't know. But yeah, that's the album title. Check it out. Corey says it's worth a listen. It's worth a listen.
Give it a shot. Why not?
Now, we're going to get into something now that you guys might have seen on the blog earlier this week. Corey and I did an entire live blog of the new Blind Guardian album, Beyond the Red Mirror. It was fun. It was 3,500 words. Probably the longest post.
Holy shit.
Yes. It was probably the longest single post you will ever see on the Horns Up blog. But we're going to talk about it in brief, in much more brief than 3,500 words here. Blind Guardian dropped their 10th studio album, Beyond the Red Mirror, this week. What do we think of it? Did you get a chance to listen through it again since our live blogging, or what are your...
I haven't yet, and I just need to comment. How on earth? There's no way that 3,500 words could be any way cohesive because we were just saying things. Like, honestly.
Well, it's 3,500 words of like single sentences and punchlines and like snark.
And how many times you had to change your pants?
Yeah, I did that a lot throughout that hour-long listen. Thank you very much. It's a very... I don't want to say it's a very change pants worthy album overall, but it has its very change pants worthy moments.
The highs are very high.
Yeah. It's Blind Guardian, so I mean, you're getting everything you expect. You get the power metal with some symphonic flair to it. You get the operatic, harmonized Hansi vocals. Just really, kind of fantastical lyrical subject matter. The album, of course, is a sequel to parts of their 1995 album, Imaginations from the Other Side. What are we thinking? I remember when I closed the live blog, I think it's somewhere. I said I think it's somewhere in the middle of the pack, and I think it's grown on me a little bit, but I still kind of put it, right in the middle, maybe the upper middle of their 10 albums so far. But are we on the same page with this?
Yeah, for the most part, definitely. I don't know if it's as upper middle as yours is upper middle. Maybe a little less upper middle than yours. It's not even gonna make sense after a while. It's Blind Guardian's good either way. But definitely middle of the pack as far as their discography goes. But I don't think I can rightly put it in a spot yet. I really don't. There are moments during this listen where I just thought everything was brilliant. The Ninth Wave, the opening track, was just amazing, start to finish. Obviously, we've all heard Twilight of the Gods, and there were just some really great moments. And yeah, there were some times where I kind of shrugged my shoulders, a little confused, not really sure what was going on or why they were doing something. But I just don't feel like I've had the... And I mentioned this, when we actually listened to this thing, too, for the first time. I don't feel like I've had the full presentation yet. Right. I want to actually sit in a room. I want to have the CD in hand. I want to have the lyrics in hand. I want the booklet. I want to look at the artwork associated with it. And I just want to go through it in, sheer isolation. And then, we'll see. But right now, middle of the pack, Blind Guardian. But as I made very, very aware the other night, middle of the pack Blind Guardian is pretty much top 10% of anything else.
Yeah, oh no doubt. The middle Blind Guardian is better than upper tier lots of other bands. Right. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know exactly where I'd put it, where I would rank it among their albums. I know for sure it's not the same level as A Night at the Opera, as Nightfall in Middle Earth, as Imaginations from the Other Side. I'll tell you, I went back and listened to the band's last album, At the Edge of Time. I don't think it's as good as that one. At the Edge of Time is a lot better than I remember it, which I was shocked. But it's a good listen. It's somewhere in the middle. I think it's better than Tales from the Twilight World. That's for sure. I think it's better than the straight up speed metal stuff, which I understand how important it is to them, but it was still a little bit cheesy, a little bit unrefined.
I feel like you're talking about Twisting the Myth right now, just a little bit.
No. I'm talking about Follow the Blind and Battalions of Fear, the early stuff.
Okay, I'm with you.
But yeah, it was a good listen. You mentioned the Ninth Wave and Twilight of the Gods. I really love Prophecies. I think it closes very well with Grand Parade. There's some really cool stuff on here.
Not just Grand Parade, but the way Miracle Machine goes into Grand Parade.
I
thought was just a great way to close the album.
Absolutely,
it's bookended well.
It's like
really
the calm
well
before the storm.
Yeah, exactly. So,
again, the album is Beyond the Red Mirror. It's the 10th studio album from Blind Guardian. It's out now on Nuclear Blast. Whether or not you're a power metal fan, just listen to this thing. It's on Spotify. Blind Guardian, I mean, we've talked about this before. We're not into too much power metal, but Blind Guardian is one of those bands that is fully worth making an exception for. They're one of the few bands, I think, as I put it in the post, they're one of the few bands left in the genre that can really make me drop everything and listen to what they're doing. And they most certainly did that with Beyond the Red Mirror. So give it a listen. Reminder, check out the Horns Up blog throughout the week. You will have done by now because this is going to air on Friday, but continue checking out the Horns Up blog during the week because we post a lot of other album reviews. This week we had stuff from Xibalba. We have Atomicide. Corey mentioned he's doing Demon Pyre. What's Zach doing? I don't know. He does
everything. I don't know.
Mania War, I should say. Mania War, his stage name. He's going to be doing a couple others that are a little bit more obscure. So check those out. hornsupmetalshow.com. So that'll wrap up new releases. Let's move into our final segment for the week. Let's get into some Horns Up and Horns Down. Starting with Horns Up, Corey, what has been making you happy this week?
Pretty much zero things.
None of the things.
None of the things. I mean, Demon Pyre was nice.
It's only
just
Wednesday.
Because
you've got time.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't speak to the last weekend either, which was the first weekend where I didn't really do anything crazy for the first time in a while. I do want to mention briefly, just because we both have an association with it. I guess you could say it's a Horns Up. which is sad. But some news came out where, our beloved basketball team from Syracuse University will not be participating in this year's postseason activities where they go to some.
Right.
And I want to just comment on the fact that I'm actually rather happy with myself in the sense that I don't give a flying fuck.
Yeah. It's great.
It's great.
It's great to have a sense of perspective on sports, isn't it?
Right. Now, because I like my school, and I'm proud to be a Syracuse alum, and I love the education I got there. It's done a lot for me, and so on and so forth, gush, gush, gush. But I don't care about the sports anymore. I just don't. It's just the NCAA all the way around. I just don't give a shit. It's like, oh, we can't participate in the tournament this year. I'm like, oh, well, okay.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
neat.
gonna carry on living my life now.
Yep, exactly. Just like I was 3 seconds ago. So that's, I mean, it's not, I'm not happy that happened, obviously. It's just an appreciation for my level of apathy for the disaster that the NCAA has become. And I just don't, it doesn't affect me. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I guess.
I was talking with my friend Matt about this earlier. And we were saying, like, we can't really, you think about it, like, all professional sports are just cesspools to varying degrees.
Yeah.
And like, we were talking about it, it's like, we can't really logically like rationalize our interest in them, but we watch them regardless. And I was thinking about that. I was like, yeah, I'm guilty, but I will say, like, I used to get super animated about sports. I used to like howl and kick and scream and you name it if my team's lost. I really just don't care anymore.
No. I mean,
because we're talking about a form of entertainment whose outcome would otherwise have no impact on my life, and I'm supposed to like lose my shit over it? No, I'm sorry, I'm not doing it. I've got other forms of entertainment that don't take me to such emotional extremes.
I mean, I can relate to that. You saw Memorial Day of 2013 when I broke Baltimore with my enthusiasm.
Yeah. And here's the thing, like, had that been Arsenal, had Arsenal won the Champions League that year, I probably would have done the same. But like, really, just in the last couple of years, I've noticed my enthusiasm has just gone down. I don't know.
I don't. It's not a bad thing. I just attribute it to the fact that I'm a busier human with more hobbies and interests, and the fact of the matter is, other things impact me more emotionally and whatever than sports do now, and that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
I'm just more wrapped up in the stuff I actually care about that actually impacts me.
Yeah.
Because, no offense, investing a ton of emotion in sports isn't going to do jack shit for me in 3 years. I mean, I watched parts of Super Bowl on Sunday, and I'm in the greater Boston area, and I saw people lose their minds, and I just did not understand. I was like, dude, what's going to happen tomorrow? You're going to wake up hungover and go to work.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
I watched parts of the Super Bowl too. I watched 20 whole seconds of it, and I could not be prouder. I was out eating Italian food, which I think was a much better use of my time. I don't know.
Of course it is. Italian food's a better use of the time than pretty much anything else.
It was some good ass Italian food too. We went to a Mario Batali restaurant. My dad was in town. Like this was legit. So yeah, that's a good horns something. Was that up?
Better Mario Batali than Mario Balotelli.
Yes. Yes. That was such a dad joke. I'm going to forgive it, but that was an ultimate dad joke.
It was wonderful, though, because he's useless, too.
Yeah. That's a good horns up, though, or horns something, though.
Something, yeah.
I think we're on the same page about it. My horns up, I'm going to talk about something, just little something fun. I'm going to talk about, I've been getting some good mileage out of the FX Now app, which I can finally use now that I moved to a new apartment and have Time Warner and instead of Fios. Story behind that. Remember how we talked about how we always record the podcast on Wednesdays and stuff like The Americans, stuff like The Bridge. FX's like great TV lineup all airs on Wednesday, and thus I cannot watch any of it. That's no longer an issue because I can now use FX Now and get this shit like whenever I want to. Before, when I lived in Brooklyn, I was on Verizon Fios, and for whatever reason, Fios is like the one cable and internet provider that just did not have an agreement with FX, and Fios users could not use FX Now. We have Time Warner now. We can use it. It is wonderful. I'm catching
That's
up on
awesome.
The Americans the day after it airs. I'm catching up on a lot of stuff. The Simpsons, all 500 whatever episodes, those are on
There's
there.
a lot of them.
I'm excited about that. Even stuff like You're the Worst, which I don't get to see a lot of. So I'm excited. I've been getting some mileage out of it, and yeah, it's cool. So
Speaking of TV, you know what I, as it's approaching that time of year for me to get excited about Archer again. You know what I miss probably one of the most about one of the elements I missed the most about senior year at Syracuse was like I would come home from work on Thursday nights and everybody would just be at the house watching Archer. That was freaking awesome.
Thursday night TV time at Syracuse was just so much fun. In the fall,
awesome.
in the fall, it was what was it? It was Sunny in the League, and in the spring, it was Archer and whatever the hell. And you know, so folks, for those out there, Corey and I, our junior and senior years, but more senior year, we lived down the street from each other, within walking distance, our houses, and we just come home Thursday nights. None of us had class on Friday. Someone would grab a 30 rack each week. We'd watch Thursday Night FX, which was either The League and It's Always Sunny or Archer, depending on the season. We'd watch it. We'd play some beer pong. We'd not even think about going out. It was wonderful. It was all like really 6 or 7, sometimes even 8 or 9 of us. Fun time.
And the thing is, those Thursdays were the longest days for me too, between early classes, and I always had my late night meetings for one of my campus jobs, and just getting home, watching Archer, and just getting weird afterwards. FX has treated me well over the years. I'll put it at that. So FX now is a good thing.
Definitely. I miss when Thursday nights meant something. Thursday night. Now we're adults, and Thursday nights only mean, oh shit, I have one more day of work this week.
Yeah, right. God, it sucks.
I miss every day.
I drink a little more on Thursdays, knowing it's only one day I need to suffer through.
Yeah, this is true.
That's pretty much all it means.
This is true.
Yes, I will have that 5th beer.
Yeah. Now, Horns Down, there's one that we share. I have a late breaking edition. The theme for our Horns Down this week, folks, is public health and hygiene. I'm going to start off with this late breaking edition. Corey, I didn't tell you about this, but you may have seen today. There's a junior senator from North Carolina, national senator, who has come out and said he doesn't believe restaurant employees shouldn't be required. He doesn't believe restaurant employees should be required to wash their hands after going to the bathroom. This is Senator Tom Tillis from North Carolina, Republican senator, who says, quote, "I don't have any problem with Starbucks if they choose to opt out of this policy as long as they post a sign that says we don't require our employees to wash their hands after leaving the restroom. The market will take care of that." It's one example. Dude, I get that you love your freedom and stuff, but this is where I lose all respect for like the freedom hounds, because they constantly think their freedom is under attack to the point where none of what they're saying makes any fucking sense. It's common fucking sense to, when you take a piss with your hands, when you wipe your ass with your hands, you wash your hands before you go and interact with people.
It's yes, you're right. The market will take care of things. But the fact of the matter is that one jabroni that still goes into Starbucks every day, guess what? He's going to take his cup of coffee and he's going to go to work, or he's going to go to his family, and all of a sudden he's going to go to school, and all of a sudden that shit's everywhere. I don't give a shit if the market takes care of it. It's public health. What happens to one person impacts, the public. Do I need to say any more than that? This is stupid.
I can't wait for the first like fucking moron, whether it's a voter or an actual elected official who decides he doesn't think murder should be illegal because we should be free to kill people. The government can't tell me not to kill somebody, blah, 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 blah. And then says the market will take care of that as a defense. I'm
going to start using that for situations to get myself in. Hey man, you really fucked this up. Yeah, but the market's going to take care of it.
Oh my God.
This album was terrible. The market will take care of it. That would work.
I think this is just another example of us being headed down the road. Mike Judge, that goddamn Nostradamus, Mike Judge, we are headed down the road to his movie Idiocracy. Like,
Idiocracy.
we are becoming Idiocracy, folks. I'm sorry. Like, I'd like to think that there's hope left for this country, but there really isn't. Like,
I can't wait till there actually is a restaurant called. We're so fucked. I can't wait till there's actually a restaurant called Buttfuckers. That would just make things wonderful.
Yeah, full circle.
If anybody hasn't actually seen the movie, they pretty much zoom in on a Fuddruckers, and over time they show how the name changes, and it eventually goes from Fuddruckers to Buttfuckers, and it's awesome.
It's because people don't want to say the name properly.
Right.
Oh my God. Well, I'm glad I could at least laugh a little bit at the end of this. Tom Tillis, number one, you spell your name like a jackass. Number two, you think about you think about public policy like a jackass. So, good job, Tom. Nice work.
I'm gonna call him Thom.
Thom, yeah,
it's appropriate.
Good job, Thom.
Good job, Thom.
Anyway, now the story that we were sharing. Let's talk about the anti-vaccination movement, because you want to talk about a whole big ball of stupid and a whole big dangerous ball of stupid. Can't get much of a better example than the anti-vaxxer movement, can we?
No, we can't. We can't. No. No.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't want measles or smallpox.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody does.
So the anti-vaxxer movement, there's a bunch of fucking morons, and Jenny McCarthy chief among them. Because why should Jenny McCarthy have any brain?
Right. One of brain.
There's this, for if anyone out there isn't aware, there's a movement that people are against vaccinating their kids because there are concerns that vaccines can cause mental illness, brain damage. I don't know what the hell they're alleging anymore, because none of it makes any fucking sense. They're basing all their I don't want to say allegations, all their theories on a kind of dubious medical study that has been pretty roundly disproven. Now there's this whole movement of people who don't want to vaccinate their kids against things like smallpox, measles, you name it. And surprise, there's a measles outbreak in Disneyland now, and it's made its way to New York. It's made its way to a bunch of other states, all because of these fucking people that don't want to vaccinate their kids. Again, because freedom, whatever the fuck. At what point does common sense go out the window with these folks? Like, that's what I want to know. Like, really, I mean, it's because we have the freedom not to do stuff. Like, does that mean we should not do stuff?
Right. Well,
it's like you could apply the same logic to all the people that talk about gun control laws and how we can't have gun control laws and the citizens need to own guns because the Constitution says we can. Yes, the Constitution says we can. Do we need to? Like, when do we stop? You throw the word freedom around and people's brain power goes out the fucking window.
No, that's exactly what it is, though. It's just because, and this is where I just completely fail to believe that human beings, for the most part, not every person, but most people, don't actually have a rational bone in their body. I swear, if I went to somebody and said, hey, here's a plan to kill somebody and never get caught, I'm pretty sure they'd just do it because they could.
Yeah.
Just they would have no moral objection to it. Oh, I can do this and I won't get punished by the law. I'm going to go ahead and just do it. I don't understand that level of selfishness.
That whole mindset is just a different level of not braining right now. It's like it's unreal.
It's incomprehensible. I just don't understand that level mostly of selfishness. I mean, why? It's vaccination.
It's like
dude, I'm struggling here. I mean, for a time I was like, okay, don't vaccinate your kids, homeschool them for the rest of their lives. Fuck it, Yeah. Put them in a bubble.
Yeah, it's like, think what you want to think, and I can choose to respect or not respect your thoughts. If you
usually the latter.
Call them thoughts. Oh yeah, no, 100% the latter. But when your beliefs are putting other kids at risk and putting like really the entire country at risk if this thing were to spread rapidly enough, like, you got to draw the line. I don't know what to say. I mean, these people are just worst form of humans. They are an embarrassment to the human race.
You have to draw a line eventually between what you feel like is what is causing some kind of breach of your freedoms, or however you want to look at it, and what is just in place to make things better for people. This is one of them. Public health isn't something that's just like, oh, they won't let me buy that house because I'm whatever, you know? This is simply, we want to make everybody not die at 24.
Yeah. And people are going to cry, and people are going to cry Constitution over this. Well, guess what? It's in the fucking preamble of the Constitution that our job is to promote general welfare. And how is allowing these fuckheads not to vaccinate their kids promoting general welfare? I don't see it. I'm sorry.
You want absolute freedom? Try anarchy. That's the alternative. If you want absolute freedom, you want to go completely in one direction. Nothing. There's nothing. I thought you were going to say try Antarctica, which would also work because they'd go down there, freeze their stupid asses to death, and then we'd be rid of them. So, can we do that? Can we just ship them to Antarctica? Guys, absolute freedom. No rules.
No opposition here. No opposition here whatsoever. Put them all to Antarctica. Stupid pieces of shit. Honestly,
most of humanity is.
Yeah. Well, that's our show.
Fucking blow me. God damn it. That was brutal.
Yeah. I don't have too much else to say. This has been episode 38. Reminder for you guys, check out the Horns Up blog for all of our other content, our album reviews, our retrospectives, you name it. It's hornsupmetalshow.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram. We are facebook.com/hornsuppodcast, Twitter and Instagram @hornsuppodcast. Subscribe to the pod on iTunes, on Stitcher, on Podbean, you name it. We're there. Tell your friends. We certainly appreciate anything you do on that front. We love your listenership. And this has been episode 38. Thank you guys, as always, for stopping by. And remember, live,
love,
plow,
horns up.
We'll see you next week.